You're there.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tisha, and you were tuning into Casual Convo Friday, and I'm joined by my co-host Nate out of Georgia. Hello, Nate. Welcome back.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing great. I'm happy it's Friday. How about you guys? Friday? Good vibes
Mm-hmm.
on Friday. Yes, and today we are joined by Dr. Regine Muradian. She is out of Los Angeles, and we're talking about how to cope with stress and anxiety, especially in this pandemic and during difficult times. So I'm excited to dive into this topic and learn from Dr. Regine. And I know Nate has some amazing questions, but before we get started, if you are tuning into this live off of YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn, we are open for questions. Make sure you use the chat box to ask us those questions anytime, or even if you're watching the replay, we do go back and check those questions as well. So welcome, Dr. Regine. Nate, you know what to do. It's your floor.
All right. All right. Hello, everybody. Glad y'all can make it. So, Dr. Regine, I'm just going to jump into it. We're coming off the end of the year. Everybody knows December drives everybody crazy, in good and bad ways and stuff like that. But we just want to, and, obviously we're coming off a year to remember for sure. What types of stressors are your clients experiencing the most? Like, what's the stuff you see the most often? Because I feel like that's going to touch base with everybody. And then also, like, let's talk a little bit later about how you can deal with it. But let's just find out what it is that you need to deal with on the most common basis.
Yes. So first, thank you for having me on the show. I'm really excited to be here with you and talking about this. So absolutely, what I'm seeing right now is a lot of anxiety, stress, irritability. I think when we started back in March, there was this sense of excitement. I'll just kind of go through the motion. There was a sense of excitement with kids being home and all of us, oh, wow, like a vacay, so to speak. And then I think as it started moving forward and the months kept on going on and we weren't going back, then I started seeing a lot of this stress and worry, which has to do with the unknown. I mean, do you remember when people were buying all that toilet paper and the frenzy that we went through? Again, I don't know how it was in different states, but here in California, definitely, I just remember people just packing their carts with toilet paper. And so I talk about that as a sense, as a reminder of what it feels like when you are in the unknown and you don't have much control over the situation. So definitely a lot of anxiety, stress, worry, irritability, and not knowing what next. So
Sorry, dog barking.
They're agreeing with us.
They are.
So I'm seeing a lot of that, and obviously some depression also setting in, right? Because we're already in January, it's going to be almost a year, and we're just not sure how long we're going to be in this. So we're trying to be hopeful.
Absolutely. So when people are dealing with these types of stresses going on in their lives and stuff, let's talk about some ways that they can get help themselves, some mental health tips, some little tricks that you offer to your clients and things of that nature, so they can kind of, people can try them on their own, see how they work, things like that.
Yes. Well, one of my top tips is really staying grounded in the moment. So I'm really big, like this is what we just do in our family. And, I test a lot of things out on my own kids and also with my clients. And one of them is just establishing like a goal for the day. So I have these big Post-its from Amazon I got. They're incredible. We post them everywhere. I have the kids' schedule on there. And every morning, this is what we do. We just create the goals of the day. And let's just talk about today. I mean, I'm a mom of 3. I get bombarded with a lot of things. What are we doing tomorrow? What are we doing the next day? And I just really help. And I encourage people just stay in the moment. What are we doing today? Let's get through today. And that really helps set the moment, the intention, and the movement for the day. The other thing I'm really big on is mindfulness. So, for example, in the morning when you wake up, try to not look at your phone. Try to do a mindful exercise. One of my favorite apps, I always joke about this because it's one of my favorites, and a lot of people say, I think you should be working for them. But they are incredible, and it's UCLA Mindful. And there are many, many apps out there, but I feel like just doing a 5-minute or 3-minute grounding exercise every morning, or yoga, or going for a walk, whatever it is for you that gets you moving as a habit, that could be also very helpful. Also, creating a plan in your mind for the future. So let's say we're in January. I feel like when we create a mini plan on, gosh, or even if it's dreaming, what do I like to do this summer? Or what would I like to do in the next 3 months? Hoping that COVID, lifts a little bit. Because I think when we have something to look forward to, it really increases those happy endorphins, right? And the other thing is saying one grateful thing a day. I think this really helps us. What am I grateful today, right now in this moment? So I'm grateful that I'm working, or I'm grateful that I'm here at home with my kids today. Because what did it look like 2 years ago or a year ago? I was probably not even home. I was probably barely having dinners with my kids. Whatever it is for you that you can reflect back on, because it's so easy to get stuck in the negative, and just doing that little mindful talk within yourself can be helpful.
Can I share something on that note too? And so I'm doing a little sneak peek into my Convo and my Camry video I just recorded. But yesterday I was meeting with a good friend, Joseph Rosales, who's been on our Casual Convo Friday before. Mm-hmm. And he just gave me this little mindset shift trick, right? It's this whole, instead of saying, I have to do something, say, I get to do this. So to me, it's such a great, instant perspective of, you know what, I get to do this live stream with you lovely folks, not, I have to do this. So it just changes that whole perspective of taking it from that negative and turning it into a more positive of, I'm honored to be able to do this. I get to put this into my schedule and make this happen with both of you. So I like that tip though.
Yes, yeah. I like that too. And you bring that up as such an important point, because there's so many people right now who have lost their jobs, they're unemployed. And I think even for them, because I know we're talking to such a variety of people, it's really hard. And a lot of people say, well, how do I get over that stressor of being unemployed? I feel so useless right now. What am I going to do? How am I going to put food on the table? And a lot of people kind of stuck in that space. And I like to really help and support and empower them to really think and shift their mindset as well, just like you said, and thinking, okay, I'm given this opportunity. I know this happened. It's okay to grieve. It's okay to stay and be sad. That's fine. That's important.
Right.
But how do I move forward from this? A lot of people have found, talents that they never knew they even had, and they've explored, or maybe this dream of opening their own company or doing something that they've always wanted to do. So I think it's just stepping back and writing down the goals or things that you are interested in and just do it. Whether it's a talk show, whether it's, I think right now with streaming and live, we can do so many things. What is it that you're really good at? And it's really about inspiring people. I've been so inspired by these kiddos. Oh my goodness. A friend of mine, her daughter started a baking business, and she's literally, she's doing so great, but that's kept her busy. And COVID has given her the opportunity to do that. I know other kids who are starting clothing lines, who are really thinking outside the box right now, because they have all this downtime, so to speak. They're not in activities. They're not out and about as much. So really empowering people that way can be helpful.
Absolutely. I know my big thing is I'll find a project to do around the house, or I go for walks every day with the dog. That's my thing is because nonstop I'm on my phone in meetings and stuff all day long. So it's me solving people's problems all day. So it's more or less I take the dog for a walk twice a day, and during that time I'll just shut that phone off, put it in my pocket, and we go walking around the park. And so that's kind of my get away from everybody moment.
Yeah. Do you feel also, I think people are working more. I'm hearing that also. They feel like because they're home, they're just working more. So setting a time when you're done with work, you're like, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time, just like you would be in the office, and just stopping it at a certain time, turning off everything. I think that's such a great practice, is trying to just shut off your device and phone and just put it aside and just think about self-care. Again, it goes back to self-care and taking care of you, and spending time with your kids or the family or whatever it is around you that you need to do.
Absolutely. So when you're working with your clients and things like that, and you're telling them how to deal with their stress and stuff, Do you ever get people who kind of give you like blowback? Like, do you ever have people that's like, look, that's not for me, and so you have to kind of come up with something different? Can you share? Obviously, you can't share details, but like, can you share just like some time where you've had to like think on your feet and come up with a different way to help them out? Does that make sense? What I'm asking?
Yes, that's how my book was born.
Yeah.
It often is.
Yes, I use a lot of analogies in my practice to really help people connect. I think that a lot of times when you're resistant, there's something deeper going on, right, for people. You'd be surprised maybe, but the first thing that people are resistant for is what I just said is mindfulness, is do the deep breathing every day for 5 minutes. Oh, no, that doesn't work. I said, yes, it does work.
Mm-hmm.
It's consistency. So the way I help people think about it, look, I know that when you wake up in that moment or whenever you decide to do the 5-minute deep breathing exercise or grounding, you're feeling probably okay. But in that moment where you do get the panic attack, I don't think you're going to go to the app or you're going to pull out your phone. You're just going to be in that trigger moment of feeling anxious. There's nothing else on your mind at that point because it is like an out of body experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I always say that the mindfulness exercises and the meditations are a form of healing and calming those beta theta waves in the brain. It just helps decrease and relax them. So if you do this daily and over time, you're going to notice that actually your panic attacks and your stressors may be less or less intense. So that's one of the most resistant things I may get. But again, going back to illustrations, I love to create, analogies as if, let's say, you feel like you're drowning underwater, or you feel like, you're floating above in the sky. So a lot of it, in my book, I have all the illustrations have an underlying message. That's how I came up with them. I didn't draw them. I have to give all my credit to, all the credit to Timna Green. She's an amazing artist. But it was just the idea of what I really wanted it to look like so people can connect.
That's great. So with that being said, when you're working with clients here now, have you seen the number of sessions people want to have jump up this year versus your previous years? Have they started coming twice a week instead of once a week, or twice a month versus once a month kind of thing? Have you seen it go up, or are people kind of like reclusing back in their own little worlds and staying away? Is that what I mean?
That's a great question. I feel from what I've been noticing just in my practice and for others and my colleagues is we've been very, very busy.
Mm-hmm.
I think not necessarily that they're coming in more often, but they are coming in more consistently. The other thing is that I think that just for parents and kids and teens is parents now, because they're home, and I think that's why we're seeing this influx, they're seeing more than they used to. Mm-hmm. This is not necessarily due to COVID. This is something that was definitely there before, just probably wasn't as triggered because you see, when you're busy and you're on the go as a child or a teenager or even young adult in college, you're not really thinking about the internal stress or anything else going on in your life that may have been there before. So let's talk about if it's anxiety or ADHD or any type of underlying depression. It's kind of masked. So I think that now with kids, right, being home, having not much to do, there's a lot of thinking, a lot of overthinking, analyzing, watching social media, and getting into that, I want to say, kind of lower mood. Yes, we are seeing more pop up. Hence, they're really needing now that support. So as a blessing, this is a good thing in a way because we're seeing things we didn't see before, and parents feel grateful for that as well because we're able to kind of tackle that now rather than later.
Do you see that, Nate? I know, like for me, I started noticing some things even in my kiddos. My daughter, I was sharing this in the green room that, we talked about school and how before, during the pandemic, it was, they went straight from spring break to now they're like, oh, we get more of a vacation because it's extended. I was like, no, actually you're virtual, like you're in school. And there was that constant fight for the internet. Like you were mentioning earlier, you've got 3 kiddos who are also on Zoom and you're doing this too and praying for good technology. And, I know that stresses me out. Dogs barking stresses me out on a live stream. but you just have to chalk it up to, hey, this is real life and that's what's going to happen. But, you know, I mentioned that too, that I started seeing some tendencies with my daughter, and I started seeing some anxiety and just some like little, you know, some of the sassiness and attitude coming out, that I was like, we've got to check this. And you start to just, that's how you can start to become more communicative with your family of, talk to me, like we're here together, we're in this together, talk to me about what's going on so we can come up with a solution, a better solution. Do I need to talk to your teacher? Do we need to figure out some other way for this? Like, so you're not going crazy and stressing out daily.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Nate.
I was just gonna say, for me, since my kid's 3 years old, he's not really into the school schedule yet. So his biggest thing is we have to make sure that us as parents, we're not shoving Mickey Mouse Club in front of him too much on our phone, you know, so we can get that little bit like extra hour of work in, kind of thing. You know, I'll say we've probably hit middle ground on that in terms of, you know, do we do it too much or you know, the right amount. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for us. He's a little bit too young to really pay any attention to it. His daycare kept running the whole time, so I've got a little bit different experience than you guys have.
Lucky you.
Right. And I think it comes with this challenge for little ones, right? Because you have to be attentive. You got to run after them. You got to be cautious what they're doing. There's more hands-on, but different challenges. Trisha, I want to bring up something that you just reminding me right now. That's another big question I get a lot is, and I'm seeing also, and I'm a mom of, I have a 15, a 13, and a 10-year-old. So one of the things is exactly what you said is, wow, my kid is so frustrated, is so irritable, is sassy, is talking back, or is withdrawn. What do I do? Because we're constantly fighting. So this theme of constant fighting and argument is coming up a lot. Actually, even, you know, my daughter yesterday, she was feeling a little more frustrated, and, you know, she was saying like, oh my gosh, I'm in this room all day and I'm doing all this homework and I'm so frustrated, etc. So the way I really approach it, and this works like magic, is saying this as a parent. I can, instead of taking it personal that they're speaking rudely to you, or you think that they're rolling their eyes or they're talking back, say something more like, to diffuse the conflict, you could say, I could see how frustrated you are. I get you. I wouldn't want to be in that room for 24 hours or however I know how hard this is for you. So this is all about validating how they're feeling. And I love what you said, trying to find a solution together. I've said that too to my daughter, like, well, how can we better help? What do you suggest we do? And that really engages that critical thinking part, which they're not really getting right now. Because in reality, I'm just, you know, just based on what I'm seeing on Zoom when they're in class, there's not much engagement like they used to have in the classroom. So they've lost the engagement with the teachers. They've lost the engagement with their peers. So all we have is really us. And of course, if they're FaceTiming their friends or talking to them, which is great. But that's just part of validating, and also active listening is important. So stepping back and saying something like, I really want to hear what you have to say. I could see how frustrated and nervous you are. If you need mommy to come back or daddy to come back, I will come back and we'll talk about this. If you need some time to cool off. So really listening to what they need in that moment. And at that point, they feel like the most important person in the room, because the reason why they're so frustrated and activated is because possibly they just want your attention in that moment, or maybe they're hungry, like a toddler is. When they're hungry, they throw a tantrum. So instead of feeding onto the behavior itself and getting angry that they're being disrespectful or throwing things, we can address that later, because in that moment you can address, right? Even if the toddler's having a tantrum on the floor and throwing things, if you say, don't do that, don't do this, that's not going to work. And again, it goes back to consequences. How do consequences really work? We want to make sure that, you know, the kid really understands why they did something wrong and how we can correct together. So I love that part, Tisha, you brought up with solutions, because it's about finding solutions together, but letting them have that opportunity to tell you, because they always know the answer.
Yeah, I don't think I could go to her and say, it is what it is, just deal. You know, that's not a good solution. Like now I'm just like sweeping it under the rug, and that's, figure it out. Like, you don't say that to a 9-year-old, just figure it out. Yeah. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. We're all in this, right? No, it's, and we did. I mean, I've shared that publicly that we had to make the decision of pulling her from one school and putting her in another school. And now she's so happy, so much happier, and she fit right in because she was really looking for that element of, I need to be with other people. I can't do this. Like you were sharing, your daughter has been on since 8 a.m. to midnight. I mean, I feel for her that it's hard. It's very frustrating. You feel for these kids. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think just the homework load, it's a lot. I think these kids definitely need a break just in general. And I'm just seeing this everywhere. Like this is the main complaint a lot of parents are having is the homework load afterwards, even if they get off at 12. There's, again, every school is different. Every district is different on how they handle that. But there's so much load. And a lot of times they haven't learned, they haven't really had the instruction on that. They have to learn it on their own. So for example, who's working till 7 or 8 p.m., that parent won't get to it till that time. So then what happens? And kids are cranky at that time. No homework is happening after that in terms of learning. So just some important things. And this is where I'm hoping we're going to see a shift in education. And some schools are doing a fantastic job. They get it, the whole social emotional learning component and wellness and supporting the kids. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you seen? You talked about, you touched base on a few schools getting it right kind of thing, right? What have you seen those particular schools doing that you've seen other schools not taking on in terms of how the technique of how they're making it a little bit better for the kids?
Yes, what I've been seeing is, so let's say they get on Zoom at 8 a.m., for example, and there's a chunk of time in between the next class. Let's say they have a class at 8 and then another one at 9:30 and then another one at 11. Again, depending on the grade levels, because I think for high school it's a little different as there's so much to pack in. But I do like that space I have been seeing because during that time, let's say you had a math class at 8, then at 9:30 you have social studies. Between 8 and 9:30 after the math class, you have some time to do your homework. I really like that because then for me, I mean, honestly, the ideal is nothing after 2 p.m. I want them to be off the screen because we are seeing also a lot of screen fatigue. I'm talking a lot about this term I came up with, which is non-moving fatigue. And people are like, what is that? I said, well, do you remember pre-pandemic rushing out of the house as a parent, making lunches and snacks in the morning, this rush feeling, dropping them off at school, you going to work, coming back and picking them up or whatever it was. Again, I'm just generalizing now. And then running off to activities. You were constantly on the go as a parent, correct? And also the kids. Now it's the complete opposite. You're maybe waking up 10 minutes before class starts. You're maybe in your still or with a shirt on. Things have really slowed down. So what happens to our body then? Our body slows down. So that's what I'm seeing. And I'm, seeing the irritability, the nervousness, how good do you feel when you just get up, take a shower, put some makeup on, or even get dressed in the morning as a male, whatever it is, feel like you're doing something. So having that structure, I go back to the first question, is that routine and structure of how our day will look like. I'm being outside for an hour. They have to. Whatever you're doing, just please be outside to get that movement going. And creating a time on screens, like if you're going to be on, I know the gaming is a big topic. How much are you going to be today? Is it 2 hours, 3 hours? And creating that negotiation together. Instead of saying, no, you're not going to be on there. You're only going to be on there for 4 hours or 3 hours or 1 hour today. It doesn't work that way. It's all about involving them in the process with this generation. And it's important because guess what? At the end of the day, you have a happy kid who's going along with you and he feels valued or she feels valued and heard. And like, I know mom or dad is there to help me and support me.
I always find like midday dance parties work well. I'm always just like, hey, Alexa, play this beat. Okay, let's just dance. Let's just get up. You got to take those breaks. I shared with Nate earlier that I'm actually taking my real estate license and it's all online. I'm going through the classes right now and it's 5 hours, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, all online. And I'm grateful that they have 10-minute breaks, like you were mentioning, in between. Get up, move around, stretch, do what you need to do, come back so you're ready, you're recharged, and so on. But Yeah, it's so good to just like take those midday breaks, set that time in your schedule, get up, move around, go for a walk, do a dance party, and then just get back to it.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think going back to also Nate's question with the schools is, as you're mentioning the dance party, wouldn't it be so great for them to kind of have in between classes now during Zoom? Like I know each school has their school counselor or a school psychologist, and just kind of checking in with them. I know a lot of schools have these programs, but just checking in with the kids as a whole. Oh, let's do a fun activity. Let's get up. Let's shake our bodies. Let's put on something funny to dance with. Just to get them kind of moving because, I don't think P is enough. I think through every class they need to have somewhat of a transition. And also asking, how are you? How are you doing? How are you feeling? Because anyone can ask you that today. So that's important too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now we got a comment from Michelle I want to show.
Yeah. So Michelle says, I have some new ideas now. I've been work from home since March, like most all of us. I need to go back to pretending I'm leaving the house. Hair and makeup. I agree. I think it's setting that routine. It's not, I don't get to take a shower till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Nobody really cares what my hair looks like. But it does something to you when you're like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go for my walk, take a shower, make myself a pot of coffee, and get moving like I am going somewhere. So it's so good to have that routine, and good for you, Michelle, for starting to make that happen for you. Yeah.
And,
oh yeah, absolutely.
And getting excited, right? To just go out, just getting excited. I'm going to the grocery store. Okay, just I know you have your mask on, but whatever makes you feel good, even if it's perfume or if it's some eyeliner, whatever it is. Now you have just this top part of your face that is showing. Whatever it is that makes you feel good. I think that's important. I like that. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. I used to go out and do these Convo and my Camry videos, and I would just be out and about because I'd have to go somewhere. And now I'm like, I went to my driveway, I shot it, and I got back in the house. At 2 minutes. Actually, I did it right before we got on this casual. I'm like, I've got 10 minutes. I'm going to jump in there, do it, come right back in, and jump on a live.
You're grateful for that. Aren't you grateful for the driveway? Things you took for granted.
I know. I get to go to my driveway. I'm so excited about it.
I like that.
What a trip. All right. Well, Dr. Regine, before we let you go, it's shameless plug time. We offer this time for our guests to, talk about the things that's going on that they're wanting to promote, whether it's a service or whatever. So I'm going to put your banner up about your book, and you can tell us all about it.
So, yay. So my book is called Frankie and the Worry Bees. It was published in September. I started writing it back in March when the pandemic hit. And really, it's all about this little boy, Frankie, who shares about his emotions. He figures out that, wow, I can express my emotions to my parents and actually get great feedback. And I'm not the only one. And I think it's all about normalizing anxiety and worry, because I think that when we're stuck in that anxiety or stressful moment, we think it's just us. We think that everyone around the world is perfect. We think that no one's dealing with anything but us in that moment. So it can feel very lonely. So it is a book to really encourage parents, teachers, educators. I've got so much great feedback on how you can use it. I've had little 3-year-olds or 4-year-olds, the parents reading it to them, and there's never an early age to start communication and conversation. And it's really cool because the parents through the book, whether it's a caregiver, a parent, whoever's with the child, really helps share, well, I have anxiety too, or I'm worried too at times, and that is normal. And this is what you can do for it. So the whole book has also an activity at the end, which is how the book started. This is how it was birthed. And the activity is writing down your negative thoughts in one bubble, which is the empty one, and where the other bubble is turning all those negative thoughts into antonyms. So, for example, I'm not smart enough, I can't do this work, I'm tired, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not good enough at whatever it is that they're feeling in that moment, and turning it into a positive. So, Tish, I was just thinking too about your daughter, what you were saying, I'm not good enough, I can get through this, I will take my time, and really turning it into a positive comment. It's the same thing as when you wake up in the morning. If you start your morning on a good foot, and say something positive. I'm going to have a great day today. I'm going to make the best out of it. Most likely you will. If you wake up in the morning saying, oh my gosh, another day, this is going to be awful, that's how you're setting the tone for the day. It's kind of like before when, when your spouse or anyone would walk in the door, if you're in a bad mood, you're setting the tone for the bad mood, in the bad mood for everyone in the house. So it's all about setting the tone. My second book, it's going to be released in February, God willing. It's called Frankie and His Homeschool Adventures. And it's a very timely, I'm excited it's coming out now. I honestly didn't think it would be timely because I thought we would probably be back in school by now. But this is all about change. And I'm creating a series, and I have another one coming after that as well, focusing on talent. And it's all about inspiring kids and, really looking on the other side that there is a possibility for change. And homeschool is not all that bad. I'm thinking we are going to see a lot of kids being homeschooled. I feel that many parents may opt for that option as we move forward. So I wanted to write something timely with accepting change and how we go about that.
Perfect. Well,
good.
You take it away and close us out.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. And Dr. Regine, real quick, where can you find the book? You can find it on your website. You also mentioned it's on Amazon and that you donate the proceeds of the book as well. So tell us a little bit about that and then we'll close it up.
Yeah, so you can find the books on Amazon. You just type in Frankie and the Worry Bees and it's right there. Every single 100% of the sale proceeds are going to the kids who have been displaced by the war in Armenia and Artsakh, to be more specific. I was so happy. I mean, so far, all the money that I received from Amazon from all my buyers, thank you so much. Your money went to good use. We were able to buy over 300 backpacks filled with supplies for the kids there who have been displaced and have literally nothing. They were just so happy to just see their backpacks filled. And there's just incredible organizations really helping with that. So that's where your proceeds are going for that. So I really appreciate the donation and the support, and also to help a child or a family.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Regine and Nate. It's been a pleasure spending this morning with you and this afternoon. And thanks everybody for tuning in to Casual Convo Friday. We do this every single Friday at 10:30 a.m. Mountain, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And we'll be back again next Friday. And it was such a pleasure. Thanks, guys. I learned a lot. And thanks to our guests that watch this live or are catching the replay. Make sure you catch this because she has a lot of great tips on how to cope with and deal with stress and anxiety, especially during these difficult times. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you guys.